Let yourself be happy. Man, sounds like a really easy thing, and it kind of is. It kind of is.
Depending on the situation and circumstances, it's easier sometimes than others.
That is true. More often than not, we can find ourselves kind of in the dumps, or we can find ourselves being too serious. We can find ourselves being unhappy about a particular situation. When it's all just an emotional switch, it's a mental switch, it's just our own personal attitudes and how we're perceiving things. And my good buddy Matt here, he's had about maybe one girlfriend, and out of the one girlfriend that he's brought over here, he said, I just have a rule. And the rule is, if you want to hang out with me, you can't be sad. You can't be drama queen-esque. You can't be, I don't want to spend any time with anybody that is a Debbie Downer. And that really has stuck with me because that's impressive. It's impressive to know your own limits with people. Like, I don't want to be around any of those people. I may like them or respect them or not think about them at all. But if I'm going to spend any time with you, I don't want you to be a drama queen. I just think that is a fantastic rule to live by with any and everybody.
Well, I think people are going to have issues. People are going to have stuff going on in their life that's going to get me down. It's going to get you down. I know it's life in general. But don't bring it upon yourself to say, oh, I'm going to get in the middle of this and I'm going to do this and just bring everybody else down. Or the he said, she said crap that kills me. It's like,
well, I hope it doesn't kill you.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Shreveport's a small town.
Yeah.
Everybody knows everybody. And people I don't even know will talk about me, which is fine. I want people to talk about me.
That's right.
I love it when they talk about it. Good or bad, I don't care as long as my name is coming out of their mouth.
Any press is good press.
It is good. And they'll say, oh, you're going to date Matt, blah, 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 because he's, so-and-so.
What would normally that so-and-so be?
Well, it would be like a womanizer. I'm just saying. But let me go to that point. So I will date a girl, and then I'll find out something's going on, or she'll talk to her friend, say, don't date him. He's no good, blah, blah, blah. Or, oh, he's a womanizer because he dates all these women. Well, the reason I date women is because I am looking for that person.
And plus you like them. And
you
know the definition of a woman.
I know. Another
I don't think
definition of
there's
a
anything
woman.
wrong with liking women.
I think liking women is a fantastic thing.
But it's like, oh, well, he's going to break up with you, or he's going to cheat on you, or he's going to do something. No, I'm not. But it's from what you get from everybody else, their stories, I'm not going to deal with it. Oh, I talked to so-and-so and they said you're this. Fine. If they said I'm that, that's good. I'm happy with who I am. I'm not a womanizer. I'm not trying to...
Great point. You're not here to please all the other people.
Yes.
That is the whole moral of let yourself be happy. You're never going to be happy if you're always attempting to make everybody else happy.
Oh, no. Those are the most miserable people.
Yeah, that's horrible. All you can do is be content and happy with yourself. When you go look in the mirror and go, all right, you're not so bad. Or sometimes I'll look in the mirror and can't believe it's me. I'm like, that's really what I look like? But that's me. This is a relationship with me. If you don't like me, you don't have to be around me, which works out perfect because I'd rather you not anyway. Yeah, let yourself be happy.
See, those kind of things make life easier is when you get to the point where you can say, if I don't want to be around these people, I can't. I think a lot of people don't have that luxury where they're stuck in these little cubicle boxes and cubicle farms around the country, or they're in all these other situations where they have to do other means besides saying, if you don't like me, don't be around me. I think the real issue is how do you be happy in yourself and make those situations happy? There's a couple people that I've seen in the last couple of years that, like, man, they're giving all this doom and gloom, terrible, boring news, but they're super happy and they even make it funny. Like JP Sears is one of them. He's giving this downing information. It's like, man, how can you be so happy and give these details or do so much research and not just let it bum you out? Because it does that. It did that to me. And I'm like, where is that switch that you can flip to say, this is what's happening. This is the way the river's running. So do you try to fight the river by going upstream, or do you just flow with it and make the river work best for you? Like,
you can build canals. You know, you can put some boulders in the way. You can make the water run off in a different direction. Yeah, the life is just too.
Well, I was going to say, you know, to find your own happiness, I found mine the hard way. I went to Saudi Arabia, which is third world country where you're kind of trapped in, no women, no bars, no alcohol, no pork, nothing. You know, I mean, y'all guys know.
Yeah, we know.
So I was there by myself, no family, no friends, no nothing.
So you found happiness.
I had to. I could have been depressed and said, no one's here, blah, blah, blah. I'm sitting in my little apartment all by myself. And I could have done that. Or I could have turned it around and said, all right, Matt, who are you? What do you want? What do you want to do in life? What makes you happy? Who is this person? And I slowly started finding that guy. I know what I like to do. I know what I like. I know what makes me happy. And then I came back to the States and I'm like, I don't need this. I don't need your drama. I don't need your shit. I don't need your stuff. I'm happy with who I am, you know, and I'm happy with my handful of friends.
I think that's great. You know, we've talked a lot in all of our podcasts about the connectivity with other people and that we know we're connected to them and how we're all a part of water and all these things. But the individual energies that are in different people, even though we understand that we're connected to them, doesn't mean that we need to necessarily spend time with people that have an energy that brings people down. I think it's important for us and people that think about these kind of things that we're here to elevate ourselves in every way possible. We are here to find happiness and contentment the best way we can. And one of them is through magical, fantastic cigar smoke that makes me extremely happy. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch. It is just wonderful. And if people are bringing you down in that way, all right, hey, I wish you the best. See you later.
You know, one of the things that the happiness, I love coming here. I love seeing you, of course. I love Jill, Trey, everybody, Ashley, everybody. But you notice when I first come in, we hug each other. We transfer that happiness. You know, you could be having a bad day. I could have a bad day at the whatever. But we come in, we hug each other, and we transfer that happiness, and we're like, hi, man. Well, let's talk. Let's have a drink. And it's like, this is probably my happy place.
I mean, that is,
you know,
like we're talking about, is choosing to be happy. There's been a couple of times where, you know, you go meet some friends, you're like, oh, I'm not exactly excited to go do this, but you're going to do it. And you know you're going to have a good time. And instead of saying, oh, I'm not going to have a good time, I don't really want to be this, I got this on my mind, I got this stressing me out, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. Even though you know in a lot of situations and circumstances, doing more is not necessarily going to help your situation. There are some times where like, all right, I've got stuff to do and I have to do this, or this isn't going to get done. But there's some times where you're in a bad situation, and the more you pile on, you're just throwing more fuel on the fire. You're not making it any better. Sometimes it takes stepping back and getting a different perspective and saying, all right, well, let me step back from the situation. Let me step back from the problem. Let me give myself this bit of happiness with people I know and care about, instead of bringing them down or burdening them with my troubles. Let me just be happy for a moment.
You know, I can see any potential viewer out there that's joining us with this conversation goes, yeah, well, that's easy for y'all to say because, you know, you're not worried about your bills. You're not worried about, I can't afford to get my car fixed. Now I can't get to work. All of a sudden prices are higher. I can't afford to feed my kids. Rent's due. I don't know how I'm going to pay it. I mean, we all have those, well, not specifically those issues, but we all have really big stresses in our life, and everything is just dependent on how you deal with it. And one thing that is, for the past couple of years, it becomes more cemented in my life every day is when I start to get stressed out, just go, I'm in the now. I'm in this moment right now. This particular moment is not bad. Like right now, this is good. And as soon as I recognize that, hey, I'm all right right now. I'm okay right now. And I can be okay as I figure out and plan for what's next. I can be okay in these moments.
Well, happily planning an event is much better than sadly or obnoxiously planning an event.
Or emotionally driven craziness, drama queens. And it's just, hey, I'm okay right now. How can I continue this being okay? And how can I not allow my stress to build up to a level where it rubs off on you, where you don't want to come see me?
No.
Or you that go, yeah, I really love my brother, but man, he's a downer. Right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to see him at all. You know, that's not a good practice. And I don't think it's difficult to flip that switch. Like sometimes you just don't want to do crap you don't want to do, right? So if you know going to see Matt or you or going to hug your wife or whatever, you like, sometimes you just like, I got other stuff to do. I don't know if I want to do that. But you just do it. You not only go through the motions, but you know that, hey, I do love this person. I do want to go spend time with them over there. I do want to go walk outside and see what they're doing. I do want to go visit with my buddy down the road. I do want to go and moving, just the act of moving forward and doing something and then realizing and soaking that in, just like, it's okay. This is okay. Yeah.
I was going to say, how many times have you had that in your head where I don't want to go out tonight? I don't want to do this tonight. I don't want to go. And then you go out and you had the best freaking time you've ever had.
Oh, man.
It's like, God, thank God I think, this is the happy.
And how many times when we were young, we're like, you're getting all fired up. Man, we're going to do this. We're going to do everything. We're going to just do it. It's great. And then all of a sudden, it's just a normal, mediocre night.
Yeah, disappointing.
And then how many times have we gone, I really don't feel like doing much. Why don't we just go do this and see what it's like and have the best night, like you said.
Hyping yourself up to a point where you expect so much, but it doesn't deliver.
Right.
So why not just be grateful and thankful and happy for everything you have? Hey, I'm thankful
everything.
I get to see that person today.
I think the nights that you're really excited to go out because you know something's going to happen, I think those are the times where you fixate on the small things that went wrong, as opposed to the nights when you go out where you're not really that excited or enthused to go to that party or that outing. And so you're like, already see all the downsides that are going to happen. You know, and you've expected and planned for that and you're mentally ready. So when something nice happens, you're like, oh, this is really nice. So you don't notice the bad parts because every day has a mix of ups and downs.
Oh, for sure.
Downs. So when you're planning an evening, like, oh, it's going to be perfect.
That's a great point.
Perfect. Then you focus on, well, fuck, I didn't get the room that I wanted in the hotel.
Yeah.
They were out of my favorite drink.
Right.
How can they not have this or not have that? And then you miss all those other things that you planned on because all those things you planned on, you already expected them to happen in your head. So you already preconditioned that was already going to be good. So you weren't expecting that because you planned for it. You weren't expecting the downside. But when you already expect the downside, then your mind's on the opposite and you don't expect the upside. The upside seems so much more of a surprise because you planned for the downside. You didn't plan for the upside.
Great points.
So a friend of mine used this. She used to tell her kids when she was talking to them and stuff. She goes, "All right, tell me your low and your highs today. What was your low today?" And he's like, I had to get up early for school. Okay, that's no biggie. What was your high today? Oh, I met this person. And then they go off on that and they changes their mind. They forget about the low. Because you always ask the low first because that's what they remember. But then once you start talking about the high and the happiness, then that's what they're thinking about. And
it's just the focus. That's the whole point of letting yourself be happy. Focus on the positive. Now, there is some merit to the old adage, take care of all the negatives so the positive takes care of itself. Yeah, I agree with that to a certain extent. I mean, I think it's important to have enough food and water in case of a snowstorm or
Something in Texas.
or something bad. You know, I mean, those things, it's important to take care of some downsides so the positive takes care of itself. But you shouldn't be focused on the negative, because you can start manifesting the negative all by yourself.
Yep.
Like, you don't even need to have a global catastrophe or a regional catastrophe or anything to start manifesting problems by focusing too much on the negative. So I like that girl's attitude. Hey, what's your high? What's your low? I mean, that's a good practice.
You know, there's some things, like you were talking about preparing for the negative. I think a lot of people, when they're preparing for the negative, or they're just doing menial everyday tasks, they want to complain about these tasks instead of just getting them done. I know that there are points in your life where you don't want to do things and you want to stop and take some time, like, oh, bitch and complain, I don't want to do this, which is really counterproductive, because if you would just do the task and get it over with, then it's done. So you've wasted all this energy saying, oh, this is going to suck. I hate doing this. I don't like doing this. I can't believe I'm doing this. And you're slowing down your production rate, when instead of just getting it done and having zero neutral feelings about it, or even being a little bit positive, man, say, I'm going to do this. I did it. I'm done. And now that's in the past.
I am so glad you said that. When I was 18 and I went to work for my grandpa, and the foreman put me in this warehouse, and we're cleaning. They're like little joints. It's like a little, not marijuana joint. It's it connected two pipes. And so there's tens of thousands of them in these crates. And my job was to take these oily things one by one out, clean them, wash them, just wash them off good, get filthy dirty, and then re-oil the inside, and then stick them in a real pretty nice stack for later use. I was irritated. I was going through it fast, like, as an 18-year-old kid, 19, like, oh, I know everything. Why you got me doing this? This is stupid. And I had a bad attitude. And the foreman came over to me and goes, well, you don't seem to be doing these real good. You're not moving very fast. And I was like, I just don't know why y'all have me doing this. There's other important stuff. And he said, well, have you thought about the importance of what you're doing? We can't move as a company, and we can't do these things we want to do without this little tool. Like, we need this. They need to be cleaned. They need to be lubed up for the next jobs. So it's really important. And then I thought, man, because that has stuck with me ever since I've been 18, 19 years old. I was like, wow, even the most meaningful task is really important.
Yeah.
And he goes, as he started walking away, he said, even if you were sweeping out the warehouse, that's really important too. It's really important to be clean. It's really important for us not to trip over ourselves. It's really important for each of us to know where to go to grab something, so we're not all scrambling in a disorderly way. He was just mumbling as he walked off, and I just thought, man, it changed my whole life and how I saw everything. It's like, man, that is so valuable. Thank you. I think that's going to allow me to be happier. I didn't think that. But there was something along those lines. Like, I realized there was something else beyond the way I was thinking that I had not been introduced to before. Is just change your perspective.
It's funny you say that. I've been in oil and gas for 29, 30 years, and I had my boys work summers on one of these large oil projects, and I wanted them to be laborers, and I wanted them to dig ditches. I wanted my money back. I want them to work.
But you can pay rent.
Yeah, so they would fill up water coolers and stuff like that, and they're like, Dad, why are we filling water coolers up? I said, son, you got to fill up the water coolers to get the guys hydrated so that they can make the pipe, make the modules, make the think, connect everything. Your job, no matter how small and how insignificant you think putting water in a jug is, means more to those guys up there when they're working in 100-degree heat with a hood on and everything like that, and they need water, and it's right there. So every small job makes a big impact. Just like you were talking about being happy, it's a big impact. You could change that. It's like, why am I doing this? Because in the long run, it's going to impact someone else, or it's going to impact you to be that happy person.
I mean, that's a crucial point that both of y'all have made. Is it's not just you being happy, but that shows a tool that if you see someone else happy, if you're a slightly higher authority or something in that job place, you can take that time to explain, because so many people don't explain anything about life. They never explain it. It's do this job, I need this done, with no reason why.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody ever explains anything. If you take just a small amount of time out of your day to deal with maybe that disgruntled employee or family member or even your spouse, something, and find out what the problem is, it's like, okay, you don't feel so needed here. Well, this is why we need you. This is the importance of this particular job. You might not like this, but somebody's got to do it, and
you're still a part of the link.
Yeah.
It's that old adage that the old cliche: "You're as strong as your weakest link."
Yeah,
and almost all of the people on the top level did those bottom level jobs because they had to have a scope of what the company is.
Yeah, I learned whenever I was just starting out in business a little over 25 years ago. As time went on, I realized the importance of knowing, like cross-training myself to know I need to know how to do this job and be familiar with it enough where I know and understand that particular guy or girl doing that thing. And I could judge, make a reasonable assessment of, are they dicking off, or are they doing what they're supposed to be doing? Are they doing it good enough? And that allowed me a level of personal happiness too, because I got to be fulfilled in learning new things, and I got to a level where you get to know, they are doing a good job. I am appreciative of that work, where before I knew how to do it, I didn't have a big appreciation for it. You think, oh, well, the sanctuary farm out here is a great example. You go out there and start pruning trees, and you think, well, this is all nice and peaceful, which it is. But then all of a sudden you realize how long it takes. And then you realize, you really need to take your time. You really need to go slow and make sure you got everything. It's not a rush.
You know, there is a lot to be said about going slow and doing things right, or at least you're slowing down. That's one thing that I picked up at this point in my life with exercises. It's not how many sets you can do. Sometimes it's how slow you can do it and how good of a job you can do it. It's not how much you did, it's how well you did. Because you can do, like Ashley and I worked out yesterday, and we worked out for 3 songs. But after 3 songs, it was a good workout. We used 5 and 10 pound weights. But nice. You use one song to see how few you can do. You don't ever stop, but see how few you can do.
Oh, doing slow is it's kind of like making love.
I do it so slow, I don't even do it.
Yep, see there.
Yeah.
I don't even work out.
Look at this. You're like the famous guy. Whenever you get a craving to work out, you lay on the floor and wait for it to pass.
Yeah. That was just a good idea.
I'll have a drink. No, didn't want to do that.
Speaking of happiness, more wine. Wine is the elixir of. Oh, thank you, sir. Elixir of happiness.
He's taking pride in filling your glass right now.
And to my great friend Roman, who watches our videos, who gives me the best wine in the world. Here's to you, pal. And I love you too.
I think we can all drink to that.
I love you, Roman.
Yes, sir. And these are the things that are lacking, like we so often talk about in our podcast, is people just don't have conversations about the most important things right in front of your face. Like let yourself be happy. Let yourself be happy. And all of our other topics we discuss.
I think a lot of people would think that in some of these conversations, this isn't just what normal people do. They don't sit around a table and talk. They feel the need to be entertained. What do most people do when they get together? Oh, let's watch a show.
Yeah,
let's watch a movie.
Yeah.
Let's do this or do that.
That takes away from
there's no interpersonal. Oh, if I want a conversation, I don't have anybody to talk to. And so luckily there are people like us that have podcasts, so you can join in a conversation or feel like you're a part of it. But for the most part, man, people just go their whole lives without having any meaningful discussions. I think it's a shame. I'm glad that we are doing our part in setting an example of learning how to be happy. Learning how to be happy with yourself. If you're not happy with the way your body looks, all right, well, change your diet, do a little exercise. If you're not happy with your relationship, look at yourself first, make sure you're not the asshole. And if you're the asshole, change it. And if you don't like that person, you don't have to stay with that person.
Well, there is a lot of middle ground to be found in everything you said, because anybody can take anything to the extreme and then it is no longer helpful.
Yes.
You have to find the middle ground of, all right, I need to work on myself, but you also can't neglect all your other relationships.
Yes.
You want to find your happiness, but you can't hurt your partner in the midst of you finding your happiness. You have to find some middle ground with everything and everybody. There's always compromises to be made. Communication is one of the most powerful tools that we know of and so little used. I think most people think they're communicating
by little text,
but they're really not. To sit down and really, really talk.
How about write a letter?
Yeah.
How about write a letter to the... I just think that is one of the biggest sins that humans have done to themselves is lose the art of letter writing. Man.
It's really the loss of communication in between two humans as a whole.
What the hell are we talking about?
We were talking about not necessarily the letter writing is broken, but
or letter writing.
But it's the whole...
it's so true.
I'd like to appreciate our audience out there.
Yeah.
Well, we had to reset the cameras real quick. And what's strange is we don't practice penmanship and expressing ourselves really quick in a text, which you can mean one thing and you've got a few sentences, maybe, and that gets mistranslated from your mood or who knows. But the art of writing a letter, expressing yourself out, so you have to think about it.
The tough part about writing letters, though, is there's no emojis for letters. You can't just write emojis on letters. That really complicates things.
Some of the people can't spell. Well, you could do 2 dots and a smiley face, but some of these kids today, they can't write the cursive. They I've seen some of the guys on Facebook and stuff like that. They're like, are you going this way? And it's the letter R, U, and it's like nobody writes.
Nobody writes, and that is and nobody hardly reads.
Yeah,
it's such a small percentage of the population reads, and even fewer still pick up a pen to write. And I was really excited. I have an acquaintance of mine that sent me a letter, and he had a wax stamp on it. Man, I got so excited because I was like, man, I got somebody else to write a letter to. This is awesome. And because me and you exchange letters, I don't send them, I give them to my wife, and I've sent them and gave them to your wife. And so we have this inner circle of letter writing amongst us. Man, outside of that, I don't know anybody that writes a letter. Nobody. And you like you said, nobody knows how to write cursive. I remember being young, maybe 20-ish, and I thought I needed to write. I have these journals, and I need to write. And I was like, man, my handwriting really is bad. Like, this is horrible. My first thought was, well, I'm going to make my handwriting better. That's going to make me happy to be able to have good handwriting and be able to communicate to myself and to write a letter. I wrote my first letter to a girl I wanted to be my girlfriend, and she laughed at me.
Who?
She works for Merrill Lynch now. Her name was Tiffany. I can't remember her last name. She's a pretty thing. I was at airline. Anyway, I was devastated by that because she said I was stupid. She said, you don't even know how to write a sentence. I was like, what? I just did my best right here. Like, this is awesome. And she was like, yeah, you're an idiot. And then I went back and I was like, well, obviously I don't want to spend my time with you. I was like, yeah, I can see. She probably couldn't read my stupid handwriting. I didn't really say the things that I was meaning to say. I should slow down to go faster. I should be able to write where people can read it and express myself and articulate my thoughts in such a way that the communication elevates our relationships and allows happiness to flourish. And that was a very valuable lesson. So I do thank that awful wench, but it is it is true. Sometimes we need that kind of slap in the face.
I mean, really, as you're saying it now, it probably wasn't that at the time, but she was really giving you the hard love of, hey, look, you don't know how to write a letter. You should probably put some more practice and thought into it. But without the niceties.
Well, I mean, she kicked me to the curb for sure. But what was really great is after I became really successful, she became somebody at one of these financial institutions that a lot of people got to know me in these circles, and she wanted my business. And it was a very immature thing for me to do, to just ignore.
True.
Yeah, it was really an immature thing.
No.
But that's what I did.
Yeah, well, I think we all have those things in life.
You know, that's part of the
But that was your happiness.
It was my happiness.
That
it
was
was so nice.
You could do that.
You remember that bitch?
Yes.
You were
There
making
was your
yourself
happiness.
happy.
That was
That's
the topic.
an interesting topic right
That
there.
was
Making
the
yourself
topic.
happy at someone else's expense, probably not.
Not the best idea. I don't recommend that at all. But I do recommend cigars and wine.
I mean, it doesn't have to be a zero-sum game where you to be happy, everybody else has to be sad.
Well, you know, sometimes you have to take their unhappiness to make you happy. I'm just kidding. You don't.
Yeah.
You don't. But at that point in time, yes.
Yeah,
No,
like
I'm just
starting
kidding.
a lawnmower over there.
Yes.
Yeah, you know,
So-
I think it's important.
Yeah, you got to be careful when you start lawnmower. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, everything is happiness. I think that the whole point of our podcast and all of our podcasts, when we boil this down, is everything is a choice. We choose to be happy. We choose to be serious. We choose to be anxious. We choose to love and to interact in ways that are beneficial for ourselves and others.
I think you make a good point there. I think there's a lot of people out there that do not see that choice in life. They think that they don't have the choice to be happy. And they don't ever really realize because they don't ever talk about these things with family, friends, or someone being brought up. I think most parents think that they do this really great job, and that may not be the case. But then on the other side, as a kid, you think, oh, you were such a great kid. You were probably just as bad as the parent. Looking back on it, that's one of those things that nobody's ever as good or as bad as they first appeared, just like news. Nobody's ever as good or as bad. So, but seeing that you have those options later, like, oh, I had the option to do that. Oh, my dad or mom weren't that great, or this person wasn't that great to me, but did we share good times? Like, was it all bad? Like, could they have done better? Oh, yeah, probably. But
Everybody
could I
can do
have done
better.
I think
Right,
we were
everybody can do better.
Yeah, I think we could all do better.
Like, but knowing that these things are options, most people don't ever consider that as an option. Like they really don't. I think most people just can't see the options that are in front of them.
I think
So-
you'll go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, what will doing better get you?
It'll make you happier for one, and isn't happiness the whole point of life?
And the whole point of this podcast.
Yes. I think just doing better, being a better person, being that guy that, you know what, I can call Matt, I can call Kevin, I can call Trey, you know, and say, hey, I need a can you do this? And it's like, yes, I can.
Hey,
Just to make you a
I
better
need to get out
person.
of my house. What are you doing? You mind if I come over?
I
You mind if I come over?
say that every Sunday around 1-ish.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I'm like, hey, can you come over today around 1:30? I'll be there around 1-ish.
Yeah, it's something that's part of happiness too, to be able to have really good relationships. And I can't remember if it was Thoreau. I believe it was Thoreau that says you have to endure the betrayal of false friends. You have to be willing to put your emotions out there. Like there's so many people that go, I want to have these superficial relationships. I want to not be truly connected out of fear of being hurt later. And man, you're never going to find happiness that way. I mean, it's better to endure through life just a few of those bad relationships in order to love and appreciate the good ones.
Where you really can't avoid the downside, so you might as well just be open to it. And like I said earlier in the podcast, is if you're prepared for the negative, like when you go out, you don't think it's going to be good. You start off the friendship, then you're not exactly shocked by the downside, and you're excited by the upside.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing you were talking about too. You have those friends that like, I know she's superficial. I just want to hang out with them just so I can be a part of that group.
Right.
I'm unhappy. I hate this. They talk about everybody. Well, you need to get out of it. Get out of that group. Find your own group.
Yeah, because
be
they're
your own
talking
group.
about everybody when you're around.
Well, that's
They're
not
talking about
happiness.
you when they're not around.
No, that brings you down.
Well, whenever everybody's gossiping about other people, it's because they're not happy with themselves, and it makes them happier degrading other people to attempt to falsely build themselves up.
Everybody likes to kick somebody when they're down.
Yes.
I mean, let's just be fair and honest. As a human nature, when you see a gap, no matter what you think, 99% of the time people are apt to fill the gap.
Yeah, I would say that's true. That's why in many of our other podcasts, we talk about no one would defend Jesus. It's kind of the same thing. He looked like a down and out sort of guy. Ain't nobody defending him.
Oh, no. That sinks shipping. That ship is sinking. We don't want to be on that.
Right. It's the same sort of scenario. And it's the same thing with homeless people. It's the same thing with poor people in tradecraft that I think is one of the most valuable things of humanity. But wow, it's unbelievable how quick we are to do that.
You know, a funny story, you say that. A long time ago, I had to go to, this is Pennsylvania 20-something years ago. Now I'm sitting in a restaurant with this lady, and there's this other lady right next to me, and we were doing this huge project, oil and gas project. And these 22-year-old kids, welders, were driving in their dualies with their fifth wheels and everything like that. And the lady, I'm sitting there, and I was the health and safety manager for this company. I just wanted to go out to eat. And they're like, oh my God, here comes that construction trash. And I'm sitting there, and that just hit me. I was like, ma'am, I wanted to say that. I didn't say it. In my head, I said it. Ma'am, that 22-year-old kid has that dually paid for with that $80,000 trailer behind him because that is his livelihood. He loves to go do this job, work 7 days a week, 10 hours a day, 6 months to a year, and then take another year off to go hunt and go vacation, go have fun. And here you are at your miserable job that you complain about everybody else. It's like people judge. They'll judge.
Yeah,
and
judgment is a horrible thing. There's a big difference between judgment and assessment, but that's for other podcasts and ones we've already done. But it's very true. Those people are miserable. They place judgments. They don't have an appreciation for other people, really, or have any sort of empathy or understanding, which makes them even more miserable. So part of let yourself be happy is to continue to flip those switches of, oh, whoa, let me step back before I say something that I really haven't thought about.
Be happy that those guys are coming in to make your town and spend money and grow your businesses and add jobs.
And your job even possible.
Just be happy.
Yeah, and make your life even possible. It's kind of like we were talking about a minute ago with your boys carrying water or me cleaning the little connection piece. You know, all of that is part of the chain. And if you got the bitches and moaners that make it weak, then all of a sudden you start to have problems. It's why I think it's when we talk about breaking away from groups that are negative is another reason why I'm such a proponent of city-states and no states and governments at all, because if you start to have a stupid one, you go find a smarter one. And it's really easy, you know, if that were the case, but that's just a pipe dream. But it would be really nice if that were the case.
You know, if we're
It would make me a lot happier. It would make me a lot happier.
Trey, your turn.
Yeah, I'm done. Let's do it. Revolution.
Well, at the rate we're going, I don't know if that's a perceivable future, but you know, you can always strive to have, like when you talk about city-states, there are several countries around the world and you can find happiness in those countries, no matter where they're at. They're nice places.
Hey, Liberland is a whole country based on freedom.
So, you know, you don't have to wait for these grand ideas of going back to city-states. You can build your own city-state with people you know and love and care about.
That's very true.
Isn't that really the whole point of why we're here and doing this podcast is we're building our own city-state, we're building our own hierarchy, we're building our own community.
Oh, well, when you say hierarchy.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Is the FBI looking at me?
Yeah, the hierarchy.
Well, the hierarchy, I mean, we're here and there's other people watching.
Right, yeah, I got you.
We are the people in the spotlight. I mean,
well, that's
if you
true.
wanted to come and see us like we have an audience today, they're not on camera, so that is some form of a hierarchy. I mean, just because you say hierarchy, it doesn't have
I'm
to
just
have
busting you.
negative
I'm just busting your balls. Just wanted some clarification. Well, there was a lot of stuff we covered in that podcast, and I think the ultimate takeaway is that it is a choice. It is a choice. It's a choice to be happy. It's a choice to separate yourself from negative people. If you can help them, great. Some people you just can't reach, and
well, not at the moment anyway.
Yeah, and so all right, you just go along and then be with yourself and your peace. You find exercises of your mind and of your body and of your heart that allows you to find your level of happiness. And you hope that you're able to integrate your practice with other like-minded people so that y'all can elevate yourselves and in the same time, hopefully have an effect on all the rest of people around you as a ripple effect. You hope that is able to happen. At least I am.
I think you couldn't have said it better. Matt, anything else to add to wrap it up?
Nope, that's it.
You're already happy. You have nothing else to say.
I am happy to be here.
Well, I hope everybody enjoyed the conversation. You can catch us on all the alternatives. Anywhere the internet is placed, we are there. Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute. And check us out on our website, mysticsoftexas.com. And have a good day.
And come see us if you're in the local area at 1:30 every Sunday.